here to commemorate Vanessa Guillen. We still have a lot of questions about, but we definitely want to take this moment in time, take this time out to commemorate her, and also all the women that are lost, all the women who we're still seeking justice for. I want to go ahead and move this along. Again, like I said, I'm representing Bottom 12 out of Salinas, California, and I want to present to you our first speaker, Martinez, Council Member Martinez, to come and speak to us today. Thank you very much.
Buenas tardes, ¿cómo están? Espero que estén bien. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to make it short. I know we have wonderful presenters. We have our here present with us. We have Mayor Velasquez from the city of Soledad representing Ana Caballero. So today, actually, I think all of us, we had in mind what we were going to come up here, what we were going to talk about, who we were going to be honoring. But just being here and looking at her picture, you can't stop and think about Vanessa. And I think all of us, we think about our little ones. I'm thinking of my children at home. I think about our community kids. And like I mentioned, if any of my kids was to go missing, I obviously want everybody to be looking for my children. I want my city officials, my Congress representative, everybody to speak up and make a movement and say, you know what? We have to find this child. We have to find her. Tenemos que encontrarlos, ¿verdad? So para mí, voy a estar cambiando del inglés al español, pero para mí se me hace muy importante que estemos aquí presentes hoy. Y para mí de verdad se me hace muy, muy importante mirar a mi congresista que está presente aquí, Jimmy Penera, mirar al alcalde de la ciudad hermana de Soledad, Ana Velázquez, y que está representando a la oficina de la senadora Caballero. Se me hace sumamente importante porque venimos aquí para honrar la memoria de Vanessa. Lamentablemente Vanessa ya no está aquí con nosotros, ya no está aquí, ya no va a poder celebrar cumpleaños, ya no va a poder celebrar sus metas, llegar a casarse, a tener hijos, y tenemos que pensar realmente qué es lo que está pasando con la sociedad, qué es lo que está pasando en el mundo. Como lo dije en inglés y ahora lo repito en español, yo soy mamá de 4, tengo 2 niñas y tengo 2 niños. Con las niñas me pongo a pensar, sí, mis niñas tienen sueños, quieren ser Vanessa, quieren irse a servir a su país, a este gran país que le llamamos. ¿Y qué va a pasar si a una de ellas desaparece? Yo quiero buscarla, yo quiero que todos ustedes, mi comunidad de Greenfield, quiero que mi congresista, que mi senadora, que mis colegas de mis ciudades hermanas busquemos a mis hijos. Ese es el movimiento de Vanessa, que no nomás cuando alguien se pierde, cuando alguien desaparece, cuando hay una injusticia nos quedamos callados, ya basta. Es hora de levantar la voz, de buscar soluciones, buscar a nuestros hijos y decir, ¿sabes qué? Hay ayuda y la podemos buscar. Eso es lo que pienso. Y ahora platicando aquí con una amiga, mamá de uno de los amiguitos de mi hijo, me pongo a pensar, ¿qué va a pasar ahora en la sociedad? Ahora con mis hijos. No solamente me tengo que preocupar que mis hijas puedan desaparecer, me tengo que preocupar ahora de mis hijos, cómo van a estar tratando una situación frente al departamento de policías. ¿Qué va a pasar? Si levantan las manos, si traen una pistola de juguete, si tienen una bolsa de, que sea lo que sea, de papitas. Ya basta. Tenemos que unirnos como comunidad, tenemos que decir ya basta y tenemos que saber que hay soluciones. Tenemos un poder que nadie nos puede quitar y esa es nuestra voz. Esa es nuestra voz para levantarla no solamente por nosotros mismos, sino por el prójimo. Y ese es el movimiento de Vanessa. Ese es el movimiento que hizo la familia de Vanessa, que hizo su mamá, como yo como mamá, de que, ¿sabes qué? Voy a buscar a mi hija por cielo, mar y tierra, voy a buscar a mi hija. Así es que cuando pasen cada día por aquí o cuando miren una imagen de Vanessa Guillen, digan su nombre, Vanessa Guillen, y díganlo fuerte y díganlo con honor. Vanessa Guillen es nuestra hija, nuestra hermana, nuestra vecina, nuestra miembro de la comunidad. Así es que hoy y siempre vamos a recordar y vamos a honrar a la persona, a la gran mujer, pero al movimiento y lo que sigue logrando Vanessa Guillen, que es alzar la voz a las injusticias, a los acosos, ya sea de cualquier nivel, sexual, laboral, de la ciudad, de donde sea, alza la voz. Y quiero darle las gracias de verdad a todas las personas que están aquí presentes que hicieron esto, que sea una realidad. Sin ellos, esto no hubiera sucedido. Cada uno de ustedes, si ustedes saben quiénes son, gracias. Gracias por hacer esto y por mantener la memoria de Vanessa Guillen viva. Muchas gracias.
Martinez. Ahorita a quien quiero presentar es a la señorita Diana López, que es una residente aquí de Greenfield. Diana López, Greenfield resident, as well as una veterana de las Fuerzas Armadas. Aquí les presento a Diana López.
Hi guys, can you hear me now? Okay, awesome. So thank you guys for joining us. I know every single one of you guys came out here because your heart brought you here. I know mine did. Time has passed by so fast, and I just want to invite you guys to remember Vanessa as a beacon to remember to always take care of each other and to speak up. And I want to approach things from a very different perspective today. Definitely want to honor her life and remember her as someone who is going to continue to shine the light, to help us help each other. And I want to bring attention to the mental health aspect of this trauma. Right now we are all collectively experiencing trauma across the country and even the world. So I want to help you guys by empowering yourselves, your children, your community, by identifying and helping others identify within them the different traumatic behaviors and thoughts and feelings that happen after sexual assault or any type of harassment. Pay attention to how people's behaviors change. Maybe they become isolated, their eating habits change, their sleeping habits change. Maybe they stop doing the things they love and enjoy. And I want you guys to be courageous and provide a safe place for them. I know these conversations are hard to have. It's a very awkward conversation to have. We're not trained to have those conversations. So I want to invite you guys to provide a safe place. Just lend an ear to someone who has experienced something like this. It's very important that they feel safe to be able to share their story and speak their truth. I think that's the most important thing we can do for one another, whether it's sexual harassment or any type of injustice they're facing in their life. So I want to invite you guys and encourage you guys to help each other, to pay attention to each other, to start having those hard conversations, and encourage every single one of you guys to really receive support around mental health, whether you need it right now for yourself or you see somebody else struggling. I think we can all really use that right now. So thank you guys.
I want to thank Ms. Lopez for her words, someone that's served their country and is serving their community. I have two daughters myself, they're right here, and I also think about the impact that we can have on our community, on the safety of them, on the future of them, on the who's around. She's the way of letting us know she's here. That's the power of community. And so this hits very close to home with myself, my wife, my daughters, and all the women around me. So thank you all for speaking up. Next, I want to bring up Nick, who's a member of Agents of Change, which is a grassroots group dedicated to serving and affecting change in their community. So if I can have Nick come up.
Hello everybody. Yes, we're here to honor Vanessa Guillen. Your favorite color is green and purple. She was an athlete, daughter, sister. She told her father, when she was in elementary school, to join the military and serve the country. So I think it's important for us to remember, different aspects of her life and not let her be defined by the final moments of her life, that trauma. And really to celebrate those all aspects of her. And that's what I hope to do today. And also to fight for her, you know. And what does that look like? And I think that fight looks different for every one of us depending on who we are and where we're at in our community. You know, I want to amplify the words of Diana's to provide a safe space for those, particularly BIPOC women who are disproportionately affected by sexual assault and sexual violence. Not only listen and believe survivors of sexual assault and abuse, but also to call out abusers and make sure that anybody in our spaces, whether even it's our family, it's the hardest to do, in our church communities, in our organizing spaces, how are we creating space and giving voice to Black, Indigenous, and women of color? These things are so important because we need to amplify these voices because she exists at the intersectionality of racism, classism, and sexism. So her story, her power is so important for us to uplift in any type of space that we enter. How else do we fight for her? And I think about, you know, why would a woman of color, a Latinx woman, want to serve the military? You know, and regardless, I don't want to, you know, say that, you know, we should be for or against the military. I understand. I don't want to say that, but you know, if we think about, you know, the nature of imperialism in this country and how, you know, a colonized body wants to serve that for that purpose, you know, my question here is like, you know, I'm not going to say that's you know, make judgment on that decision, but what I do want to say is how could we provide opportunities for our youth where the military is not the best option, right? That we have to risk our lives, risk sexual assault, you know, move away from our families in order to get good benefits, a good paying living wage, health care, insurance, right? How do we empower our youth to find their own path in self-determination that isn't defined by these restrictive and oppressive institutions? What does that look like? It looks like building youth programs in our own communities. And educating our youth, not just in the classroom, but outside in the streets and organizing in our communities. Because we're not taught in our schools how to organize. We're not taught in our schools, if you see an issue in our community, somebody being hurt or somebody without, when other folks have too much or excess, how do you redistribute those resources? How do you take care of people, right? And empowering them to say, like, you know, you have determination over your own destiny and your own community, and you could uplift not only yourself, but everybody around you. So these are the types of things that I want us to encourage to do as well, and ways that we can continue to fight for Vanessa. Not only just saying her name, but actually creating real change in our communities, in our circles, and within ourselves, right? Because it starts with us in terms of our own political education and unlearning all of these, you know, oppressive systems that really break us apart and lead to things that these tragedies, right? But the goal is to learn from these tragedies and to turn them into triumphs, you know, for us and for all of us. So thank you, and I appreciate you all for being here.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick. Once again, my name is Freddie from Baton Tov. We're here in support of this commemoration today of Vanessa Guillen, and also a reminder of what's happening, you know, in our country. I think when we think about women disappearing, we think of Ciudad Juarez or Mexico or something very far away, but it's very close to home. It's here, in a supposedly industrialized first world country. And so these issues are hitting us close to home, and I think this is the beginning of what we can do. Advocacy is huge. How do we, like Nick said, how do we make you know, the military not the first option for people? So my next speaker is Chago from Baktun 12. He's a co-founder of the street teatro group Baktun 12. Nuestro siguiente presentador es Chago, del grupo de teatro Baktun 12, born and raised in Salinas and here in Solidarity. So here's Chago.
Okay, buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everybody. ¿Cómo estamos? Bien, muy bien. All right, good. This is to be here a year after the COVID hit, after May 25th, after George Floyd was murdered right in front of us online. It puts us back into question, and the question keeps coming up when we keep hearing about it, right? What is safety? What does it mean to be safe? And the power of the story around what safety is, and those who are committed to making a safe community. That story in the last, I guess you could say, since this country was founded, has been controlled and has left out a lot of our voices, our experiences. And in that, to not even see ourselves in a story. I say this out of my own experience, growing up in Salinas, being an audience to KSBW, KION, the Salinas Californian, our local corporate media. A media that's where they may show a couple of brown faces. We might be able to hear a couple of voices, right? But we're not in charge of those. We're not facilitating that. And when I say we, again, we're talking the BIPOC, right? Black, Indigenous, people of color. And when we talk about the majority of those who live in this county, it looks pretty much like a lot of our towns, at least on this side of what they call the lettuce curtain. It's a lettuce curtain. When I hear people say the lettuce curtain in English, it takes on this other idea. Not an other idea, but it takes an idea, and I feel like some people have a hard time. Those courageous conversations, right? When we're talking about the courageous conversations that we need to start practicing, right? You say la cortina de la lechuga in Spanish, it feels like it has a whole other different meaning. When things are translated from English to Spanish from our institutions, it feels like as if the institution has done all it had to do. We translated it, we sent it out, it was all there. But we speak in different ways. We express ourselves differently. And sometimes it just doesn't match up, right? Or that's where the confusion, we get lost in translation. It feels like this country has been lost in translation. When you see our leadership, I can point to my hometown. And I'm looking at my leaders. Do my leaders speak the same language as the people who are doing the work here? Speaking the language of my neighbors, speaking the language of my family. And then if we do speak in English, when we get it down in English, you get me, man. You get me all frustrated, all like, I don't know how to put it into words. I just don't know. I'm just gonna go home now, you know? I can't express myself because calm down, Chico. You're making me nervous, bro. Come on, man. Chill. That's what happens. We fall into. Ándale, ahí está. There she is. Otra vez. struggle trying to communicate, trying to bridge what we're feeling. And there's not the folks who we're trying to communicate to, again, our systems leaders, or people representing the system, and it's not on them. It's not on them. I'm not here to try to put it on. We have our elected officials. Thank you for being out here, showing up for us. Yes. Not even trying to put it on anybody in particular. But this is the culture. This is a culture. This is a whole culture. And somewhere along the line, as we got to 2021, we're experiencing right now a reckoning. Right? What President Biden, even President Biden was like, now man, let's just call it. It's a reckoning. So, what is it within us? What do we have within ourselves to be able to make that safe space, right? But on whose terms? On whose terms? Like, do I feel safe? Because you can hear it in my voice. I don't. I don't feel safe because I might lose control because of another killing that I see on television. Adam Toledo in Chicago. It's getting to us, and it's getting to us, So, Greenfield, thank you so much. Thank you so much for standing. You guys have been standing. Rigo, the brother right here, Unidos, like making it known, South County is here. Is here, y'all here. Thank you very much, South County. Amor y respeto.
Thank you. Let's hear one more time for Chaco. I want to bring up another Army veteran right now. I want to bring up Miss Monica Andrade.
First of all, thank you. That's the last time we're going to see her portrait fall today, so I encourage every one of you guys to take a turn and don't let our sister fall. My name is Monica Andrade. I am an Army veteran. I served my country proudly for 7 years. Thank you for the time today to come here in solidarity with Specialist Vanessa. A year ago, we gathered here because we heard Mother's plea. We watched her cry, and we were heartbroken. A year ago, we watched her mother stand her ground inside the East Gate at Fort Hood and single-handedly mobilized an army in search of her baby girl, her warrior, Zuleika Guerrera. She brought the mighty U.S. Army to her knees. We all heard her call for action and gathered to answer that call. She obeyed. And even though we were not able to bring Vanessa home safely, she taught us so much. She shed a light to the horrors many of us have endured while because of Vanessa, our stories came together transcending service branches and creative movement. I'm here today to pay my respects to Vanessa. Because of her, we are one step closer to ending sexual abuse, assault, and harassment in the military and elsewhere. Because of her, victims will no longer have to rely on their chain of command to determine whether or not their complaints are valid. Service members should never have to accept sexual assault as part of the deal. Soldiers need to know that sexual assault has no place in the military. And when a soldier comes forward, she needs to know justice will be served. And even though I'm proud of the service in this country, I am saddened that her life had to be cut so short so that we can finally unite and shed a light to take meaningful action towards ending sexual harassment, assault, and abuse in the military. But I am eternally grateful for her sacrifice and that of her families. Thank you, Vanessa. I also wanted to encourage everybody to think and reflect on what you can do to stop this. You know, ¿cuál es tu granito de arena que vas a poner? You know, stop sexualizing our daughters. Start educating our sons. Start speaking out when you hear jokes about women's bodies, women's looks, their abilities, or their lack of. You know, I encourage you guys to all think of what you can do to be part of this movement and stopping sexual assault elsewhere. Everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see one more time from Ms. Andrade, please. Next, we want to bring up Chris Barrera from LULAC. Give it up for Chris Barrera.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Barrera, President of the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC, Salinas Council 2055. LULAC is the oldest Hispanic civil rights organization here in the United States of America. First of all, I would like to have a moment of silence in the memory of Vanessa Guillen. Thank you. I would like to thank the city of Greenfield, beautiful city of Greenfield, all of our elected officials, Rigo Avila, and all of the people behind the scenes who helped put all of this together. Thank you very much. We are here today to pay tribute to a young lady named Vanessa Guillen, a young lady who had everything going for her in life. And all she wanted to do was do her part in serving our country. During that time in her life, she had to endure a horrific tragedy that cost her her life, a senseless act of violence. Life is not fair sometimes. With the loss of Vanessa, it opened the nation's eyes of how things actually happen in our military, particularly Fort Hood. It's time for change, and we have made some progress. I am personally proud of that change. My LULAC National President, Domingo Garcia, was with the Guillen family from day one. Because of his persistence and his not taking no for an answer, LULAC demanded change, and there was an independent investigation into the death of Vanessa Guillen. LULAC put up a reward, marched the streets nationwide, and we got our change. This kind of incident affects us all. We all have members in our family that are in the military, and we should not be worried for their safety. Our children should be able to serve our country without the fear of being assaulted, raped, or being killed. There's no place for that in our military. If you see something, you speak up. You don't know who to report it to? You call us at LULAC. I have cards that I'll pass out to you if you need them. We get numerous calls weekly. Civil rights violations, domestic violence, everything under the sky. Unlawful evictions. And we take our time. I have Andrew Sandoval, my vice president at LULAC here with us today. We literally make an appointment, you come in, we meet with you, and we do what we can. We use our resources to help people. There should be no reason something like this should have happened. Outside the gates of Fort Hood is a memorial for Vanessa Guillen. So her memory will live in us for the rest of our lives. Rest in peace, Vanessa. Justice for Vanessa. We got a little bit of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Barrera. I want to bring up Rigo Avila. Let's hear it for Rigo Avila, who's our main contact for coming out here. Rigo's a Greenfield resident. He's my last name Tocayo. My last name is Avila. Represent. And he's also a local boxing coach. So give it up for Rigo.
The artist who helped us put this together drove all the way down today from Sacramento. So I only felt it right to come up here and thank you from up here. From that. Look at that. You brought her to life. Look at the resemblance right there. I mean, a round of applause for Santos who's standing there. The red shirt. And I'm not here to take up anybody's time, so I want you to say a couple words while you're here, man. Let's hear it for Mr. Santos Morales.
Closer. It was a surprise he asked to do this. I come from Greenfield. Didn't really see myself being in this stage. And I had people around me that showed me that the art skills could bring something together for the community. And doing this mural, it showed me that everybody came together. Happen. It was just everybody all day to do this, and it showed me how powerful art could be, especially when it comes to things like this. So it was an honor to do this painting and to have others just enjoy it and have some type of connection to it. So yeah, I'm happy every time I pass by. It's here. People are still taking care of it. Appreciate it, and remember Vanessa and anyone in her shoes. It shows how strong the community come together and really unite.
Thank you. Let's give it one more time for Santos, putting his art skills and putting this together. Next up, I want to bring up Congressman Jimmy Panetta to share a few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that introduction, and thanks to all of you who are here. Thanks to the city of Greenfield, as well as Greenfield's leaders, especially Councilwoman Martinez. Your passion, your service, your leadership truly, to me, embodies what it means to give back to your community. So thank you, and thanks for everything you do. And thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of you for coming out here as we mark 1 year since the death of Vanessa Guillen, as we marvel at this wonderful mural that was done by Santos. You don't have to say much. You said it all right here with this mural, so thank you for that. It was interesting when I was talking to people. I said, yeah, I'm going down to Greenfield to mark the 1 year anniversary of the death of Vanessa Guillen. They said, why Greenfield? She's from Houston. And I said, look, man. I said, the reason that there's a mural in Greenfield is because Vanessa Guillen is us. Vanessa Guillen represents what we're about, not just in Greenfield, but on the central coast of California. But you also realize Vanessa Guillen represents the United States of America, represents the best of America, but also the worst of what can happen in America. Now, it was Vanessa's dream to serve America. Like you heard, and as I've read, she told her mother at 10 years old, you know what? I'm going to be in the United States Army. And she was fulfilling that dream. She was fulfilling, I believe, that sense of service that I can speak to as a veteran and being from a family of immigrants, knowing that we as immigrants have come here to seek a better life for our children. And I think she felt, what I'm sure all of you can feel at times, is that because there are people who are allowed to have that opportunity to live the American dream, there's a sense of giving back to this community and to this country. And I believe that that's what she was doing when she put on this uniform. But unfortunately, as we know, that dream turned into a nightmare. It turned into a nightmare because of what the Fort Hood Investigative Report Committee found. That sexual assault at Fort Hood was the atmosphere, and that there was an environment of retaliation against sexual assault victims. And I believe that Vanessa felt alone. She felt isolated. And I believe that that's what unfortunately led to her death. But we in Congress are doing everything we can to create change, because that's why we introduced the I Am Vanessa Guillen Act, to ensure that those who serve us are protected, that those who serve in the military, are protected, and that they are encouraged to come forward, especially if they are victims of sexual assault. There's a lot more to be done, But seeing events like this, knowing that events like this are happening throughout this country, gives me motivation to continue my fight in Congress to make sure that I Am Vanessa Guillen Act is passed. Today we mourn. We still mourn the loss of Vanessa Guillen. But we also stand here, like I said, and we marvel at this wonderful mural that truly represents, I believe, who we are. And that's with that motivation, we will continue to create change. And we will do that because we are Vanessa Guillen. Greenfield is Vanessa Guillen. The United States of America is Vanessa Guillen. And because of that, the legacy of Vanessa Guillen will long live. And because of that, people like all of us and people like Vanessa Guillen will continue to live out their dreams. Thank you.
Let's give it one more time for Congressman Panetta. Next, I want to bring up Ana Velasquez from the city of Soledad on behalf of State Senator Ana Caballero.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Ana Velasquez, District Director for Senator Ana Caballero, also Mayor for the city of Soledad. But I'm here on behalf of the senator who's unable to make it today, but it was really important for her to be able to make sure that you heard her words today. So, good afternoon, and I want to thank Lulac, Rigo, Avila, and Karina Ramirez for inviting the senator to honor the memory of Vanessa Guillen. As mentioned, we were saddened, horrified, and outraged upon learning the details behind the violent murder of Specialist Vanessa Guillen. She was a true patriot who believed and embodied the commitment of service to our country. All of her hopes and dreams were extinguished in an extremely violent manner by someone who she identified as a sexual harasser and someone who she feared. As we honor Vanessa today, our hearts continue to be with her family, and we pray that they will find peace. But with that must come justice. We must examine, as a nation, the circumstances surrounding women serving in our military and the systemic sexual violence and harassment that are endemic and persistent in a male-dominant environment. We must continue to work to dismantle all forms of inequities against victims of assault in our military. And we must ensure that swift and immediate justice is served against those who commit such crimes. Vanessa's death cannot be in vain. Join me today in honoring Vanessa's life by shining a light on the issues and by continuing to work towards meaningful changes in sexual assault and sexual harassment policies in the military. We must never forget. And a quote from Martin Luther King Jr., "Justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." So on behalf of Senator Ana Caballero, thank you so much for allowing me to speak a few words on her behalf. And now I just want to say a few words as a woman of color and as a mayor for the city of Soledad. I grew up in this area, and many of us know that it's not just now after we've seen so many disparities and inequities in our community, and now is our time to be able to ensure that our voices are heard, that voices like Vanessa, that we've known that injustice has happened within our communities and so much of the sexual assault against women, that we must be those voices to make sure that that doesn't continue to happen, and that we support those women that are in those circumstances, and that we provide the resources that are needed in our community for those victims, and that we embrace those victims as a community and know that their issues are our issues. Their concerns are our concerns. Their voice is our voice. And we must continue to work together to make sure that even in local government and all forms, whether it be local, state, and federal, that we continue to be advocates and we continue to bring transparency and accountability to our elected officials who can make some of those policies and changes. But I also want to ask each one of you, what can we do? Because there's much that we can do. And sometimes in those spaces may be fearful. And I want to share with you, just as a woman of color and also as the first elected Latina in the city of Soledad in 99 years. In 99 years. I want to make sure that the women, the young girls that are in my community and in South County, that know that we can be in this space where we're making those policies to make sure that what happens to Vanessa doesn't happen anywhere, not in the military and not in anywhere in our communities. And so I want to encourage you all that we continue to support each other. We continue to support our young girls and our women to make sure that their voices are heard and that we welcome them in the spaces where we need to be. So with that, I want to say thank you again on my behalf as a mayor of the city of Soledad for inviting me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give it up one more time for Mayor Velasquez. This concludes our programming. I just want to thank everybody. We want to thank Ana Velasquez on behalf of Senator Caballero. We want to thank Congressman Panetta. We want to thank Santos for the beautiful artwork. I want to thank Rigo Avila right here of Greenfield. Also Chris Barrera, Monica Andrade. I want to thank Chago from Box 112, as well as Nick from Agents of Change. Diana Lopez right here from Greenfield and proud Army veteran, as well as Council Member Martinez. We want to thank all the people that made today possible. But last and definitely not least, le queremos dar las gracias al señor y la señora Ramón y Marta Martinez. This is their property. They allowed for this mural to be displayed on their property. And this is their business. Martinez Tortilleria and Panaderia. I was told that I was supposed to cut back on tortillas, but just because of that, I'm going to support. And please have their pan dulce. It's amazing. We just had a cochinito right now. And it was incredible. But thank you all for coming out and supporting. And let Vanessa's memory not be in vain. I think this is a lovely example of how we honor her memory and also advocate for change. Thank you all for coming. Thank you very much.